Hey, so I'm going to be talking about the Ballad of Mott the Hoople. It's a long way down rock and roll. So this here talks about the history of the band from when they formed, in that, because I'm showing where. So it all starts off with what bands they were in before they formed this band here in 1969. So it says here, I use this as a quote from Brian May of Queen. On tour as support to Mott the Hoople, I was always CONSCIUS that we were in the presence of something great, something highly involved, close to the center of the spirit of rock and roll, something to breathe in and learn from. So it says here, the Ballad of Mott the Hoople is a feature-length film that tells the story of one of England's most cherished rock and roll bands, Mott the Hoople. So the film brings the band's story to life through a stunning combination of rare and unseen archive footage, their magnificent music, and the testimony of band members Ian Hunter, Mick Ralphs, Verdon Allen, Dale Buffin Griffin, Luther Grossenberg, as also known as Ariel Bender, Morgan Fisher, plus other associates and witnesses, including the Clash's Mick Jones, Queen's Roger Taylor, and Mott Sea Drivers fan club president Chris Needs. I found this here very, very interesting. So it talks about when they formed, and talking about when they formed in I believe it was 1969. Here's some. So I found like the first album that they released, they did a cover of. They did a cover of, I'm trying to think of that song, You Really Got Me. So that I can think of, I think that was like the first band to cover that song. And then later on, probably more people would be familiar with Van Halen covering that song. But I think they were, if I'm not mistaken, they might have been the first band to cover that, which that was quite interesting. Here's the inside. But yeah, it was talking about like when they formed, as the band was from England, right? I found a lot of great rock bands that came out of England. So many great rock bands. So it was about like their first, the first album really didn't really get them anywhere. As well as the next album, it would take until, I would say, their fifth studio album. So they're thinking like once they released this fifth album they were making, in 1972. It was either kind of like that make it or break it, meaning if this wasn't going anywhere, I think that would have been done for the band. Um, so David Bowie heard their music, and he thought, so he wrote a song called All the Young Dudes. And so then what he did was he thought, this band can get somewhere. He really he really liked the band. So he gave them that song. And so when that was released in 1972 off the same name, the album, All the Young Dudes, that became like a big hit for the band. Big hit for the band. And yeah, because that would be their first big hit they released. And also on that album there, they had the song Ready for Love, which later on, back in, I believe it was 74, with Bad Company, they had that song on their debut album. Because I believe Mick Ralphs left the band. His last time he performed, had an album with them, was, I believe, the album after that in 1973, and then that same year is when Bad Company formed. So they had that song also on their debut album as well. But yeah, I found this here is very, very interesting. Because from their career from like 69 when the first album came out until 1974, that's like 5 years. And there is, some rock bands like back in the day that might have a couple albums out and not many. Sometimes maybe a big hit or not even that. But yeah, I found it was very, very interesting. Wait a minute, talks about the history of the band. So yeah, it says, which they formed in England. So Mott the Hoople. So it was Ian Hunter on piano vocals, Mick Ralphs on guitar vocals, Vernon Allen on organ, Overhead Watts on bass, and Buffin on drums. So yeah, I found this band here. Well, pretty much it's kind of hard rock. Yeah, Mott the Hoople would consider, has that kind of hard rock style, hard rock, a mixture of the two. But all in all together, I found it was very interesting of how it came to be, the band. Even though, they didn't have a long career, like I said, from 69 until 74, that's 5 years. So yeah, within 5 years, they released 7 studio albums, and I believe they released a live album as well. But yeah, great documentary about, the history of the band, pretty much. talking about how they came to be. But yeah, I found it was great. And also, it shows here as well. I'm going to finish this off soon. So, it says here in the back, extras, which includes the 2009 Hammersmith reunion, which they performed Rock and Roll Queen, The Moon Upstairs, and I Wish I Was Your Mother. And also shows them Ian Hunter and Lee Childers. 3 days before Christmas, they made an impromptu visit to Elvis's home in Graceland, because they were, I believe it's the band was playing in Memphis for a gig at Ellis Auditorium 3 days before Christmas. After that is Chris Needs, Mott, and Bowie. So this here pretty much talks about his early years watching Mott the Hoople and David Bowie playing his hometown of L-E-S Bury. I don't know how to pronounce that. And then Mick Jones, the guitarist of Clash, talks about his experience working with Guy Stevens. Also, there's Verdon Allen, a tour around Mott's old London trademarks, as well as URIS in Led Zeppelin. So Ariel Bender, Morgan Fisher, and Buffett talk about the band's opening night on Broadway in the run-in with Led Zeppelin. That's quite interesting. And then Phil and Richie, a look through their Mott the Hoople photo album. But yeah, I mean, great. Show you the inside again, and then I'm going to finish it. Yeah, that one big hit kind of got them. It was kind of like a, if it wasn't going to make it, that big hit that David Bowie wrote and gave them the song. Yeah, that's pretty much what kind of kept the band going for quite a while. A little more after that, like 2 more years, but besides that, at least they could, have a big hit, Yeah, so let me know what you think down in the comments, and thank you everybody for supporting this channel. Greatly appreciate it, and let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, and I got more to do probably later on, not today, but maybe next week or the other week. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and thank you so much, and bye.